Do you think that the development of transition as it is now, and as you see it in the world, is in the line of your first goal when you initiated the transition, or did you make you change your mind?
Sometimes people imagine that transition emerged as this fully formed, complete thing. But I think we've always really framed transition as being an experiment. We don't know how to do this. Nobody knows how to do this. But if enough people in enough places are trying to work it out, then maybe we can understand what to do. So when we started doing transition in Totnes, we were really making it up as we went along, and very hungry for new influences and new ideas. So many things were absorbed into transition from different places, and so actually, as it's gone on, I think it has changed over time. So I think at the very beginning it was really a question: what would a community-led response to peak oil, to climate change, to the economic crisis look like? What would that be like? And saying about building community resilience. But that was kind of as far as it went, really. So in the early stage it was more focused on what are the processes? How do we bring people in? Things like open space, these ways of enabling those conversations. I think now you've got things that have come through very strongly into transition. One of those is this idea of inner transition, this idea that this process is not just about carrots and solar panels, but it's also about how we support each other, how we nurture each other, how we build strong groups, how we resolve conflict, how we look after ourselves so we don't all burn out every year and have to take 6 months off work to recover from doing transition, but that we actually are mindful of that. And then also what we call reconomy, this side of transition which says actually transition is really ambitious. Transition wants to change the way that a place like this feeds itself, houses itself, employs itself, runs its local economy, generates its energy. That's a big task. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, we need to be thinking, I think, more professionally, maybe more ambitiously. We need to recognize that a scale that big cannot be achieved just by people giving their Wednesday evenings once they've got the children to bed to try and make that happen. It's a big task. If you were a business and you wanted to achieve it, would you try and achieve it with people on their Wednesday evenings in their kitchen? You maybe would start from there, but you'd need to think about how are we going to create jobs for people here? How can this become people's livelihoods? How can we, as a community, start to generate the kind of money that we need to be able to do all these things? It's a real mind shift, and I think in my local initiative in Transition Town Totnes, about 4 years ago, there was a real deliberate shift to say we are talking about how do we build resilient economies in this place, and that cultural shift meant a whole load of other people came and got involved who hadn't really been involved before, and that's something that made a huge difference. So for me, actually what we see in terms of what's happening in a lot of transition initiatives now is thinking, how do we start community energy companies? How do we start community food businesses, food processing, food growing, recreate the economy in a different way? And that's something which I think has been a real leap forward for transition. So still at the heart of it is how do we make our economies more resilient, but actually I think we're becoming much more focused and realistic about how we might achieve that.